All right, so we'll start out with some introductions. So my name is Ben Marshall. I'm the camp director up at Camp Baldwin. This will be, oh gosh, a number of years now that I've been on camp staff working with our camps and our council. But this will be my third year specifically as the camp director up there at Baldwin. And then joining me this summer will be Bo Griffin as the program director. And then Pete Simpson joining us as business manager. And there's Pete for you guys. I don't know if you guys want to say something about yourselves or not.
Hi, I'll say something about myself. I'm so excited to come to camp this summer. This is going to be my first time at the Cascade Pacific Council camp.
Pete joining us from our lovely state of California, where it's also nice and sunny. And Bo?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to be back at camp. This will be my 5th year on camp staff. Some of you may have also seen me in the Order of the Arrow. Definitely of scouting. I'm excited to be part of it for the summer.
All righty. So jumping right in, first we're just going to start an overview of Baldwin for those of you that might not have been up to Baldwin before, or those of you that might have been a couple of years since you've been to Baldwin. So just give you a nice kind of overview. We are on the east side of Mount Hood, just kind of south of the Dalles or Hood River there. We're kind of known as the horse camp, really, not just in our council, but really nationwide. The fun fact that we like to kind of throw out there is we have the second largest horse herd in the nation, next to Philmont. So we do have quite a bit of horses, and in the summertime that they come up and hang out with us that you guys and your scouts can enjoy and have fun adventures with on that. We stay typically pretty warm, and it doesn't get too bad. We'll be in like the 80s. There might be a couple of times where it gets up to the 90s. And then we are kind of high up in elevation, about 3,400 feet. So it does kind of cool down at night, which is kind of nice as well. And for the most part, we stay dry. There'll be 1 week, of course, every year that we'll have a nice thunderstorm kind of come in and set down the dust. But other than that, it's nice, sunny, dry environment. Kind of like we were talking about in the council portion, and kind of what I want to focus on with the camp specific here is to kind of let you guys know that the staff, including Pete and Bo and myself, that kind of representing our staff as a whole, we're very excited to have you guys here. There's a lot of hard work that we've been putting into getting this summer ready for you and your scouts to enjoy, to make sure that everybody has a fun and exciting time while of course staying safe with that. And so like they were saying, there's a lot of things that are going to be different. A lot of things that are going to be the same, but we're all kind of on this adventure together to really get this going. So with that, we'll go ahead and start jumping into some of these details with that. This summer is really about groups. And for kind of scouts, BSA groups, 11, 17, we kind of have a system already in place already for that with patrols. And so this summer is really about strengthening those patrols as an entire group. Now, at Baldwin, of course, we are different because we don't have a dining hall, so you guys eat in your campsites where you sleep as well, and doing a lot of different activities there. Excuse me. And this summer, that's really going to get enhanced to really kind of build up that group setting with that. Those groups, as we're talking about, they go around the different program areas as a group. They're going to go to the shower house as a group, that kind of thing. Eat as a group and sleep together as a group in their own campsites with that. So really, it's a summer of the group and the patrol and building those up. All right. So with that, we're going to talk a little bit about arrivals at camp, check-in and all that kind of fun stuff, and fees and whatnot. And then we'll, of course, be talking about program and how that's going to look like as of now with that, and just kind of the structure of it and how that's going to work with rotations or scheduling and everything. And we'll talk a little bit about food. Luckily, with us at Baldwin, we're already kind of nicely set up for this kind of scenario. So not a lot will change with that. We'll have an overview of that. And then we'll wrap up on the end, and towards the end, we'll kind of open it up for questions and answers that way. So without further ado, Pete, do you want to take it away about how we're going to get to camp and all that fun stuff?
I would love to. I get to talk about business, which, I think is super important, and I strive to make it super fun because we're at camp. So we should be happy about the opportunity to engage in business to help scouts have fun at camp. So let's talk about what your arrival at camp is going to look like. We are doing arrival in groups, as we're doing everything in groups. And that means that your group needs to arrive at camp all together. Everybody who is in your cohort needs to arrive at camp at one time. And there's a specific assigned time that your cohort needs to arrive at camp, a 30-minute window where you'll arrive. To help out with that, we have two kind of staging zones that are near camp, but off-site, with enough space for everybody to gather together and get in one group before you head up to camp. There's going to be one on the east side of camp and one on the west side, west from camp, one east from camp. So you can choose which one is better for your group. When you arrive there, you'll need to wait until your scheduled arrival time at camp and then head on up. If your group doesn't want to worry about gathering at that gathering spot, that's okay. Just make sure that you all arrive at camp at the same time and you're golden and within your 30-minute window. Once you're there, we'll do our pre-screening or we'll make sure that everybody is answering those screening questions. I think taking temperatures, getting you all ready to start as a cohort participating in camp activities. And once we've done all that screening stuff and the medical checks, we'll get the group started on the regular camp tour, the whole process for getting started at camp. So after that, it will be relatively normal as you go through each of the camp areas, get an idea of what's going on that week. One thing that will have to happen when you get to camp is one of your leaders will have to come see me so we can talk about the money. We've got to make sure that that all the fees that you accrued have been paid, or take care of them right then and there. And if we owe you money, we'll make sure to get that back to you. And keep in mind that I'll also give you a call a week ahead of time to make sure that there are, that the information we have is correct based on what you know. So hopefully, when you arrive at camp and we have that meeting, everything is taken care of already. And I'll also make sure that at that time, any unit that has paid 2 weeks ahead of time gets a swag bag for each of the scouts participating, a fun reward for those that have made their payments on time, with all kinds of goodies in there, CPC and Camp Baldwin branded. So some fun stuff. And the other thing I wanted to talk about is the trading post, which is my other domain, which is a little bit different this year because cramming a bunch of kids into a little shack so that they can furiously grab at candy and soda on the shelves isn't perhaps the most sanitary practice this year. So instead, we're going to be kind of changing the trading post so it's a little bit more of like a window service, like the scouts can come up and purchase what they need from the trading post, like a walk-up window. And the other option that we're going to have, especially for things like t-shirts or the items that you might need for your whole troop, we'll have a delivery service where you can indicate what you want at the leader meeting, and we'll bring out what you want from the trading post to your campsite. So that is your other option for the trading post to Camp Baldwin. And do we want to mention Ben, did we want to talk about the items like the shooting sports? So yeah, the other thing will be that will be changing a little bit this year is how we charge for items like
rifle shooting and horse rides.
Yeah, rifle shooting, horse rides, that have an extra fee associated with them. We want to make sure that even though we have limited access to the trading post, or the scouts do especially, that we're not impacting those scouts' ability to participate in activities. So one thing that we'll be offering is that scouts can go to those activities, participate in those activities, and we will invoice you at the next leader meeting. So it's going to be important that you have a conversation with your scouts about how that system works, and make sure that they're signing up for the activities that they're approved for and all that stuff. And we'll make sure that we're in communication with that with you about that throughout the camp each day, so that you know what's going on with your scouts participating in those extra cost activities. And with that, I think that's the end of the business stuff. I'm really excited to work with y'all at camp. I think it's going to be a really fun year, and I'll make sure that we can answer some of these questions at the end when we're doing question and answer. And in the meantime, Bo, if you want to go ahead and talk about program.
Yeah. So program at camp this summer is going to be a little bit different in structure from what you're used to, but we will still be offering a lot of the same activities and merit badges. You will have, rather than the usual, if you've been to Baldwin before, we have what's called Merit Badge Midway, where the scouts run to all the different area tables and sign up for what they want to do. They're still going to get to go to all of the areas, but it's going to be a lot more structured. We're going to have a rotation schedule where the whole cohort is going to go to each area at the same time, and there will be multiple cohorts in each area. So you'll still get to do everything. It'll just be more structured. You will get to do everything at camp. It'll just be different. So Ben's pulling up right now the example schedule. Go down there. So this is what it will look like on the broad scale where different groups are going. So you can see that there will be different time slots throughout the day. They're 1.5 hours long, and you'll have, in most areas, 3 cohorts at a time. In each of those areas, you will have some options of different merit badges and activities to do. There will be, if you scroll back up to the list of activities, this is pretty much what will happen. It's not quite the final list, but we will be offering most of these merit badges and activities. Basically, how it will work, when your cohort gets to the area in your schedule, you will have some merit badge offerings and some other activities that are not merit badges. So for example, when you go to handicraft, you will have a choice between these 3 merit badges: basketry, leatherwork, and wood carving, or you can just do the activities associated with those. And for every staff, we'll have one staff member for each activity, essentially. So you will pick your scouts will pick which activity they want to do, and then we will have areas designated for each activity or merit badge with socially distant spaces for members of each cohort, because like I said, there's going to be multiple cohorts in the area. So you're going to have say a picnic table or an area with chairs, or depending on what the activity is, what kind of specific things will be there, but you'll have separate spaces for members of each cohort so that we keep the cohorts isolated. Other than that, it'll be just like normal. You'll do your merit badge, and you'll have that staff member available to teach and help you out with the crafts, and you'll get your basketry merit badge just like normal. If you're not doing the merit badge, like I said, you can still do the activities there. Obviously, the different areas will have different activities related to the area's focus. So in handicraft, you could just do a basketry project or a wood carving project. Also have the option to just do rank advancement with staff members or your adult leaders. So particularly those younger scouts that have not reached first class, they can work on the rank advancement requirements. Maybe there's some related to the area that they might be able to help you with, or you can just do general requirements with your adult leaders.
Sorry, I just gotta answer this question real quick. I guess it just made me laugh.
Go ahead.
The stars, among the stars, that's just my fancy way of calling like an astronomy viewing. I was just playing around with words, but pretty much, yeah, it's just offering an opportunity just to go down to like the dam, look at the stars, and have a staff member kind of point out the constellations and kind of the story and mythos behind it with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one made me giggle. So, and yeah, Bo, do you want to quick while we're on program talk about trailer first class stuff?
Yeah, so we're not operating, Eagle's Nest is the area that we normally have open for just any time scouts can go and do trailer first class requirements. We're not going to be running that area like that this year. We will have, like I mentioned, anytime if you have scouts who need to do trailer first class requirements, they can do that with their adult leaders at any time in any area. And we'll also have staff available in some areas to help teach some of those requirements. So we'll still have trailer first class. It'll just kind of be spread out across all the areas. That makes sense? The one area that will not necessarily be operating normally is bikes. We are going to have that set up so that you can sign up at the leader meeting to go on a bike ride or just go to the hill. We have a downhill course set up there that you can do, but we're not going to have it in the rotation just because we have a limited number of bikes and mountain boards. So it doesn't really work to have more than one cohort there at a time, and it's historically not a ton of people go there. Like, it's fun, but it's just not one of the more popular areas. So you can still do it. You'll just have to sign up for it, and that will be something you can do during your open activity time. So where you see on the schedule here, it says IA, that's independent activity. So basically, throughout the day, you go to your different areas in your schedule, and you'll also have at least one or two open time slots during the day. So we have a list of activities that you can do during that time, which I believe was on the page above. Stars Among the Stars, that's the astronomy viewing. That's one of those activities. Obviously, it has to happen at night, so that wouldn't take place during one of these time slots. But you can choose from any of those activities. We'll have materials available like trail maps, interpretive guides, GPS units, volleyballs available for you to check out. And those will likely be in the program center, which you'll see on your tour when you get to camp, for you to check out to use during those open activity times. And those during that time, like, you don't have to, you're not given one of those. You can choose from any of those, that list of activities. And again, that's not the final list. There may be more added between now and camp, and you'll get all the final lists by then. But so you'll just have, like, for the Iron Chef competition, you'll go to the commissary and they'll give you, or maybe you order it the leader meeting, deliver you some extra foods. You can have a fun little cooking competition. We'll have some different activities available for you to do during that time. You can also use that time, have all younger scouts. If you just want to do trailer first class in your campsite or something like that, that's fine. But we'll definitely have a variety of activities for you to do during those open periods. Some other notes about specific areas. I think there was a question, maybe there wasn't a question, but worth mentioning about horse rides. We are doing horse rides, definitely doing horse rides. When you go to the corral during your rotation, it's not going to be like you've been Baldwin before. You just have the afternoon ride, you sign up and go. Horse rides are going to take place during your rotation time. So when you go to the corral for your hour and a half that day, you are going to have the option between taking the horsemanship merit badge or going on a horse ride. And you can split up the cohort between that as long as you have adult coverage. And I think Pete talked about payment for that, so that's covered. There will also be overnight rides. We'll be figuring that out, the exact details, but we will definitely be doing horse rides this summer, so fear not. Waterfront will be normally in the afternoon. You just have open time where you can go and swim and boat. Again, it's not all the activities at camp are going to be structured within that rotation schedule. So when you go to waterfront, assuming that your scouts have completed their swim tests, they will have the option between working on one of the aquatics merit badges or doing open swim or open boating, or we have a big inflatable water slide that we set up, so they can play on that as well. And that's again, we're going to have it worked out to have rotations and separate areas for members of different cohorts to do those activities, so we maintain that separation. Shooting sports is, again, within that time. You will get to choose between archery or rifle, so they're combined in one rotation slot. You go up to the ranges and choose archery or rifle, and you can either do open shoot or work on one of the merit badges, rifle shooting or archery. And campcraft in nature will pretty much be normal. It'll just be, again, that cohort separation. So you'll go there and you'll have different staff members teaching different classes with different areas set aside for members of different cohorts. If you were in the all camp meeting that happened just before this, Todd talked about partial merit badges. There's always going to be merit badges that you cannot complete the entirety of at camp, and that's totally fine. Partials, there's nothing wrong with a partial. It's better to get half of it done than none of it done, right? You can totally do the work if you see a merit badge on the list in the program guide that your scout wants to do. You can totally have them do some of that work before they get to camp, and then they can complete the merit badge at camp, or they can leave camp with a partial and finish it at home. That's not a problem at all. So with the limited time, relatively limited time compared to normal that you will have in each area, you may end up with more partials than normal, but that's fine. Again, you can always finish it later or do extra work beforehand. I think that's pretty much it. We are, we are operating all of our areas except Eagles Nest, like I said, but we do have positions open on staff. So if you know anybody who would like to work on camp staff, it's a lot of fun, and we have pretty much anything they want to do, we can hook them up. So we'll have link to the application in the chat so that you can share that with anybody who might be interested. I think that's all for me.
Awesome, thanks, Bill. All right, and we'll jump in kind of the rest of this here. Next up, I'll talk a little bit about Food real quick. Like I said earlier, Baldwin is unique in that we don't have a dining hall and that we deliver kind of the raw food ingredients to the units that prepare the meals in their campsites. So that kind of puts us in a nice position of not really needing to change that operation too much coming into this summer. The kind of the main thing that's going to be changing with food is campsite meals, obviously. Those are actually going to be delivered to you in your campsites, kind of like a hot meal like you would get through like DoorDash or something like that. So those will be delivered as hot meals you can enjoy right away that you don't have to worry about cooking or anything like that. And those will be when you arrive at dinner, and then the end of the week, Friday night dinner, and then Saturday morning's breakfast with that. Those will be delivered kind of as hot meals for you with that. Other than that, the food kind of aspect hasn't changed that much. You'll just be getting your food ingredients delivered twice a day. In the morning, you'll be getting your breakfast and lunch ingredients delivered, and then in the afternoon, you'll be getting your dinner food delivered to you with that. All right. Okay, so a couple of things that I just want to re-emphasize with you all, kind of like what they've got brought up in the council main section with that, is that there is a lot that's still being worked on in terms of rules and regulations that we're trying to keep up with. Even just to, as of today, there was some new question and answer sheets that just went out from the CDC with that. So a lot of things are changing. And the things that we're presenting to you now is just kind of how we are sitting now as a camp and as a council to operate and run things. So things are definitely going to be changing between now and camp, and you guys will be definitely kept up to date with that. The good kind of date to look forward to for nailing down the specific information and what things will really look like in terms of the rules we have to follow and everything will be kind of that 2-week communication before your arrival. So 2 weeks before your arrival, whichever week you're coming up to camp, you'll be getting an email, and then later on a follow-up phone call, just to make sure that these are kind of where we're sitting now with the new regulations and policies that we're following, and making sure fees and all the good kind of stuff. So make sure you're looking out for that kind of 2-week communication with that. Part of that communication is making sure we have the proper contact information. Obviously, hopefully we got the right ones if you're here at the meeting. If not, make sure you kind of let the council know at the camping at CPC, and they can add that to your reservation. Also, speaking with that, they talked a little bit about campsite reservations. At Baldwin, we do have 18 campsites. 15 of those are canvas tents. And then just this last summer, when we're actually closed, we got 3 campsites converted over to mini decks, kind of on the trial run to see how they do in the Baldwin setting with the snow and the heat and all that kind of stuff, and looking to expand those. So we do have 3 campsites that are mini decks, just so you guys are aware of. And like I was saying, with food, we're already kind of set up in a patrol kind of manner, because at Baldwin, we're definitely focusing a lot on strengthening patrol and kind of being more scout-led with that. And so our campsites are built around that. So each campsite already has multiple diner shelters and picnic tables laid out there with garbage cans. So we can have a pretty good spread out of those cohort groups. But definitely, if you are a larger unit that's bringing more cohort groups that might know each other fairly well, and if you're nervous about keeping them separated, so you might want them in different campsites, let them know with your reservation, so they can add that no field. So we're doing campsite assignments, we can know that ahead of time and make sure everybody stays separate if not. They also kind of mentioned if you're on the other end of that with a smaller unit, you may be tied up in a campsite with another unit or cohort group that you might not know, so we can get everybody in there. So just kind of let us know through the reservation system with that. And that pops up into like a comment field. So when we go through and then assigning campsites, we can look that up right next to kind of your campsite preference with that. And then real quick, contact information if you have any more questions or that kind of thing, or to get a hold of either three of us. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen, and then I was pointing the things. There we go. That one all right. There we go. So here's some contact information. It's the Baldwin at bsa.camp. That's the email, and that will go. And you can reach all Bo, Pete, or myself through that. And also the council information if you have any questions about your reservation or feed deadlines before you get up to camp. That's a good one to be in contact with that. And any specific questions about camping, what it's like, an arrival and program, just hit us up on that Baldwin at bsa.camp. You can also follow us on all the fun social medias. That's very well up to date because I'm still trying to figure out Snapchat, I tell you what. But those are all just Baldwin at BSA with that. So real quick, let's dive into some of these questions and get these guys answered. What's that?
Do you want me to read through what I have?
Yeah, if you just want to shout them out.
All right. Well, I first feel the need to recognize that Craig Price raised his hand right at the very beginning of the meeting and has been waiting patiently the whole time.
Oh gosh, you're right, Craig.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
we can.
Okay, I just really, I think you've already answered it as it went on, but and I'll definitely shoot you an email. But my trip's coming from Western Washington, from Northwestern Washington. We wanted to arrive on Saturday, and so I just need to coordinate that with you guys to be able to arrive on Saturday, or is that not an option this year?
It's definitely limited. So definitely, yeah, shoot us an email. We can get that squared away for you guys because we definitely want to make it as easy as possible and as comfortable for you guys as well. So it's definitely still an option. So yeah, just shoot us an email and we'll work out through the details and get you all squared away with that.
Okay, thank you very much. I will.
Yeah, no problem.
I'll try to go through some questions that were in the chat that I'm not sure if they were totally answered. So first is somebody was asking if we're having them keep their meds in their campsite. I believe that was part of the health and safety talk in the council meeting, and the answer is
Yes.
yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
No, as long as you can ensure that they are secure. And we have in each of our campsites a med lockbox. So it's like an ammo can with a lock on it that will give you to ensure those are locked up and secured with that.
Yeah. Somebody asked, should we bring extra stoves and propane?
Oh, that is a great question and something I totally forgot. Thank you. I was so focused on with food aspect and not changing everything the same. So if you haven't been to Baldwin in the last, 2 or 3 years, we started a new kind of system of making it easier for units to come up to Baldwin because we don't have the dining hall, to make it as easy and as simple as possible for cooking. So one of the first things that we have done up at Baldwin is that we have cooking equipment and stoves and propane for each of our patrol sites. So we have a stove and propane, and we have a cook kit with all the pots and pans and eating utensils and plates and cups. Everything that you would need in a kitchen setting, we'll provide for you. And that propane tank will be filled as well with that stove. So that's all hooked up, ready to go. And they're nice stoves. They're like, oh, I forgot the brand now, but they're like nice 3-burner stoves on a stand and everything. So that's in each of the patrol sites, not just each of the campsites, but each patrol site. So each patrol and each cohort group will have a stove and propane and cooking equipment with that. And that will all be clean and sanitized, ready to go for you when you arrive with that.
So Teresa asked for the clarification. Is there one of those kits per cohort or per patrol?
It's per patrol.
In their cohort of 12.
Right. So if you have a cohort, so each of our, so on it's a little bit different, but our average campsite's gonna have like 3 patrol sites, and each patrol site is designed of a patrol size of 8. So with if you have a cohort of 12, depending on the week, you might just have 1 patrol site. So kind of recommend possibly bringing some extra tents with that, or we'll split them up so you have 2 patrol sites. You guys can have a little bit more room. It just kind of depends on the week and spreading that out. And I know there was kind of another question earlier about when will we know the campsite assignments. That's going to be part of that 2-week pre-arrival communication. It's kind of really what's the term I want to use? A vital moment for you guys is that 2 week before you arrives, and we'll really nail down the setting to let you know of your campsite assignments and that kind of thing. So 2 weeks, look out for your campsite assignments, and so you kind of will know how many patrol sites you will get for each cohort group with that.
Okay. The next question is, can we pre-order t-shirts? And as of right now, I don't have a plan for you to be able to pre-order t-shirts, but what you can do is on your first day there, we'll have a form for you to order items for delivery from the Scout Shop, and you can order all the t-shirts you want on that first day, and we'll be able to deliver them pretty quickly.
Delivery or pickup, and we don't charge extra for either one. It's great.
True. And then somebody asked how much for t-shirts approximately. I don't have the answer to that yet. I'll have to, unfortunately, I don't really want to estimate because if I'm 100% honest, I don't know how much we're paying for the t-shirts yet. I will individually. That information will be available.
Yeah, it's going to be fairly similar to the past. It's just, that's another hard thing to tell, of course, too, with this year and everything else that's going on, and stock levels and that kind of thing. But it's not going to be too much different than what it's been in the past, of around, gosh, like $12, $15, something around there.
Yeah, that makes sense to me based on what I've seen so far. Stephen, did you have a question related to t-shirts?
Yeah, so one of the interesting things that scouts like to do is they like to see what kind of t-shirts they want and scout knives and stuff like that. Is there a way for them to see what they might be able to get?
I'm gonna work hard with the trading post staff to make sure that we can be good at displaying what we have, even though they can't enter the trading post.
Windows, lots and lots of windows everywhere.
It'll be a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, so we'll still make sure they can see it at camp, not necessarily before camp, but that's kind of what you're wondering as well, though.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Well, yeah, scouts like to see, okay, what does this knife feel like? And, before they actually buy one, because it's a big purchase for them, but it's a tradition for them to buy knives at camp.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering how you guys are going to handle that so that they can still have that unique experience of buying a knife.
That's a good question. I will keep that in mind when we're laying out our trading post during our preparation week for camp.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Bo, somebody asked, will a list of what can and cannot be accomplished at camp be available for each merit badge?
Yes. Yep. We will
Yes.
do our best to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, and if you've been to our camps before, we do have like a list that kind of typically goes out before your arrival of kind of the requirements that can't necessarily be completed at camp, so you can have that idea so the scouts can work on that.
That might fold into another question that somebody asked, which is usually we get a list of pre-work for each merit badge. Will we get that this year?
Yes, and
Yeah,
yes.
same thing.
So there we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I figure that might be the same thing. Somebody asked, will the merit badges be taught by camp staffers? Because they heard that they would be taught a different way. The camp staffers would only be signing off, but it would be self-directed.
Yes. So we'll have. It'll probably be a little bit of both. It depends on the specific merit badge, specific requirement. Like if there's one to, easy example, tie a knot. The staff member might show everybody out front how to tie the knot, and then have everybody go and do it themselves, and then come back and show them like, hey, I did the knot, that kind of thing. But it will be like it won't be much. There won't be a lot more than that of normal, I guess. So it'll be, like I said, you'll have a staff member teaching the class, and the scouts there doing the merit badge, pretty much like normal. It'll just be the physical distancing will be different. That said, if you have other things you want to work on with your adult leader, that's really fine. Like I mentioned, TTFC and that kind of thing. Or if you have other merit badges you're working on that we aren't offering, that you would like to work on with your adult leaders, or if we have staff available that are qualified for that, then that will be an option as well.
Awesome. And will you have the wilderness survival overnight? Is that the next question?
Yeah, I believe we have a plan in place to facilitate that. Yep. It'll basically, instead of having everybody do it all in one spot, it'll be in your own campsite.
Awesome. So next question is groups A, B, and C are the same. Assume that they will change. That must be
No. So there will be, most areas will have 3 cohorts in the area during each time period. It'll just be that they have to, like I said, we'll have separate areas within each merit badge session or activity for members of those cohorts to be, so that we can maintain the physical distancing between cohorts. But there will be, this is pretty much how it will look. You'll have 2 or 3 cohorts in the same area at the same time.
Ben, somebody asked, is shower time assigned?
No, that's kind of up on your own. And I know this kind of came up in the meeting a little bit too, of the council portion anyways, about walking around in camp when you're not necessarily doing a program area. And for the most part, like I said earlier, this really is about the group, the cohort group with that, and everything kind of come down to that cohort group that kind of travels around the different areas or to the showers as well with it. I mean, obviously, not everybody's gonna have the same kind of shower schedule, but we want to make sure that we can sort of ensure that everybody's safe, and not just from COVID, but also YP and all kinds of safety with that as well, going to the showers. So traveling along as a group and doing that kind of thing, we'll work out with that. And also, that's another thing, I keep forgetting everything. That's another thing new that Baldwin actually just knew from this fall, is that they're just finishing up a new shower house at Baldwin to be more in line of kind of, if you have been to Baldwin before, the one up in the upper part where the staff cabins are kind of at, that one where it has individual stalls, that were the shower, toilet, and sink is all in that stall. That's kind of what everything else got modeled after for the different camps, and we finally got that and down in the lower part of camp for you guys to enjoy. So that's there to kind of help you guys out and make it really easy for each group to have that separation with that.
Thank you to our Camp for All donors.
Yeah.
Okay, the next question is the veterinary medicine merit badge offered this year?
No, the only merit badge we're offering in the corral this year is horsemanship.
Got it.
And real quick, I think that kind of tied into a couple of other questions too, about merit badges and offerings and everything. And I think somebody mentioned it earlier. So when the group goes there, we listed out the merit badges that we're offering. And this summer, and it's the same case for every summer, there's a whole different list of merit badges out there that we could do at camp. So if the scout or the cohort groups is like, you know what, we want to really do the veterinary medicine merit badge and not the horse one, our staff there can help you out as much as they can in terms of the supplies with that. It's just not being readily offered, if that makes sense. So same kind of thing at nature, if they came up with like a partial one, we can help them out as much as we can with that. In those kind of ways to kind of make everybody good to go.
Awesome. So the next question is there a way to find out, whoops. So I didn't record the context for that question.
Hmm.
Is there a way to find out what those options might be so scouts can do pre-work if needed? And which options were those? No, good question.
That sounds like it might be a merit badge activities question. So these are the merit badges that we're doing. And then that list, that partial list will list out the
Okay.
requirements that we're not able to cover at camp. And a lot of times that's just a time frame you can't do it in a week anyways, like a normal week, or like a supply issue, that kind of thing with that. And so you'll get that list sent out to you. And that will also tie into another question. I love tying in questions. Another question here about if how the updates are going to work to the program guide, or do you have to farm through this entire document? First of all, hopefully please read through this just so you guys all know it. But once we get updates, for the most part, the updates are just going to be like the schedules, and those will be sent out to you individually. So you don't have to go through the entire packet again now, because for the most part, the rest of this is just general information that's not really get changed between now and camp. But of course, with everything with COVID this year, everything's subject to change, and everything can and probably will change to camp. But we'll definitely keep you guys updated. And that 2 week ahead of your arrival is kind of really that go ahead for what it's really going to look like for your week at camp with that.
Awesome. The next question is each cohort required to maintain 2 deep leadership? And that answer, I believe, would be yes. Each cohort has to bring 2 adults at least. Is that, am I right there, Ben?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so each cohort group has to bring 2 adults with that. As they're going around to the merit badges, they'll just need at least 1 adult, preferably 2, but at least 1 during the daytime when they're going around the different program areas.
Yeah, and to avoid confusion, because there's sometimes confusion with this, 2 deep leadership means that you have to have 2 adults at an activity. The rule that you might be thinking of where you need to have, you don't need to have 2 adults necessarily with the scouts at all time. If 1 adult steps away to go to the restroom or something, as long as there's no one-on-one contact, youth protection requirements are satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
There are 2 adults on the activity.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same way for camp.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody says, so at the range, the entire cohort has to do either riflery or archery. Is that the case?
Yeah, so like I said, you'll have a choice between one of those. You can either just shoot, or you can start the merit badge or finish the merit badge, or you can do rank advancement with your adult leader, or if you have some other merit badges you can work on there with them, you can do that as well.
And Daniel brought up the rifle range is actually a great resource for kind of travel first class as well, with him being an adult leader for his own trip for so long. So he can definitely help out with that kind of thing as well.
So the question is whether or not when a cohort goes, does the entire cohort have to do either archery or riflery, or can they split up and do both?
Sorry. Yes. They, in most areas, yes, that's easy to answer. In archery, since they're kind of in separate areas, you do have to have an adult leader. Maybe Ben should answer this one. You do have to have an adult leader present with the cohort at all times. The archery and rifle leaders are kind of stood off from each other.
So
if you had 2 adult leaders, could 1 adult leader take 5 of the cohort and the other adult leader take 7 of the cohort to the 2 different shooting ranges?
Okay, yeah. So when your cohort group, let's say shooting sports, they go up to their shooting sports time period for the rotation. They, as it stands right now, they can split up between a few kids wants to do rifle range and a few kids wants to do archery, then great. Or a few kids say, we don't want to do either one, we want to work on trailer first class, great. They can separate like that. Because we have staff members available to ensure that everybody's staying 6 feet apart and masked up and all that good kind of stuff with that. So you don't need to make sure there's an adult with each one of those split offs, if that makes sense, because we have those staff members with it.
Awesome.
Part of that regulation of having an adult leader go around with that cohort group, the way it's actually worded in the regulations is that there's a staff member that goes around with each of those groups. We actually got clarification that you guys as adult leaders can count as staff members as they go around the different areas in their campsites with that.
Awesome. And that answers the next question, I think, pretty well, which is do adults need to stay at each area or just escort them to them? And I think that answer is, as long as there is a adult leader or camp staff member with those scouts, then that counts. Is that right?
Yeah, we would prefer if the adult leader was kind of still there with them if they wanted to help out, especially if they want to do different activities. And the classic example of like in the nature, and there's some scouts that just want to do the nature trail that's more self-taught, and the adult leader can help out with that or help out with trail first class. But no, as long as they're in that kind of scheduled time frame where they're being watched by that staff member for that merit badge, if the adult leader needs to go take a break or go check the Wi-Fi, that's fine. Just as long as you're back in time to pick them back up.
They need to be escorted to the next activity. Yeah.
Yep.
And the last written question here that I have is somebody asking for an amount they can recommend to their families for their scout to bring to camp, money wise. I imagine this won't be that different from previous years.
Yeah, and I think because we took off the specific price points on that because they're just so all over the place, even down to like wood carving and wood prices is just finding good prices for wood blocks, so just to give like a general idea, what we said in the past for like, here, let me go back up to the page. See, these are the different merit badges or activities that will have an additional cost. Horse rides right now are going to be $25 to $35 range for that. That includes horse activities as well. Rifle shooting, it's been like 35 cents for a round, or you get 3 for $1. And each round is 5 shots. So if you did 3 for $1, you get 15 shots out of the rifle. Wood carving, leatherwork, and basketry and archery, those are all kind of kits, and there's going to be different options available in the training post for the scouts to pick from. So each one of those can range in price between $5 upwards to $25, $30, depending on which project they get. Another good example that we kind of talk about a little bit, I like it, it's my golden example, is handicraft. So when they go to their handicraft station and you have your cohort group there, and typically in the past, you'll have your younger scouts that do those handicraft merit badges as one of the first ones they do for the first year at summer camp. And so you might have some older scouts there. It's like, well, we already have these merit badges. What do we do then? And so some ideas that they could do is like different kits that we could have. So like moccasins that a lot of those kids like to wear now, they could get that kit and put that together during that time. Or some other wood carving projects they can take home and give to their moms or fathers as like a late Mother's Day gift, and that kind of thing. But yeah, I just talked about 2 things there in one topic. But yeah, that's kind of the idea for prices and kind of my golden example for that. Yeah, we can send out Teresa, go ahead and just make sure to shoot us an email at the Baldwin@bsa.camp, and I can get you that information about a general breakdown for each of those. minimum cohort size. So we're playing on cohorts right now on average of 12. I think it was Todd that said there was some wiggle room on the around there, but as we're going through campsite assignments and that kind of thing, we're looking at 12. So just offhand, if you have 37 scouts for one unit, you're going to be looking at 3 to 4 cohort groups with that. And like I said, there's a little bit wiggle room, so we can make sure that work out with that and making sure it makes sense for you guys in terms of scouts and how you want to break that up. So generally overall, that we normally say for a scout that come to camp at Baldwin, we say usually about $50 to $75. That's a good kind of amount to bring up to camp to do different activities and that kind of thing. I heavier on that, heavier on if they want to do kind of more arts and crafts and buy some kits, or if they want to hit up the training post a little bit more and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I would maybe go higher this year if they want a t-shirt, right? I mean, that's the.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
So they will be able to pay with cash?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you got it, we'll take it.
We'll be ready for you in the trading post.
All right.
So somebody, did you answer the question? If our troop has 2 cohorts, do we need 4 adults or 2 adults?
No, I didn't see that one.
Fine.
If your unit is what they said, had 12 cohort groups.
2 cohort groups. Do they need to bring 4 adults, 2 for each cohort, or can they have 2 adults for their troop?
No, you would need to bring 4 then, so 2 for each cohort group. Because really you want to think about it, that cohort group is really acting independently from each other. So they're not sharing equipment or tents. They're not sharing leadership and that kind of thing.
Yeah, they won't. They might also not necessarily arrive at camp at the same time, right?
Right. Mhm. All right. Any more questions? Adults are not included in the cohort number. No. So that 12 number is just youth. Did I miss anything else, Pete?
That's all the questions that I recorded.
All right.
I mean, if anybody has a question, now is the time to say it, right?
Or forever.
Will the
hold your
trading
peace.
post have, will the trading post have like ice cream and treats, candy and, pop and all that good stuff?
Oh, yes. The trading post will be full of many delights.
Yeah, the big boys that we have never had.
All right. And like I said, yeah, if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to us at that baldwin@bsa.camp. And like I said, you'll get some updates, especially once when we change some of our COVID rules. The council will definitely kind of push that out to you guys as well. So those, you'll be getting constant updates as they come in. But definitely that 2 week before your arrival is kind of really that critical communication that we'll have with each other, both email and following up with phone calls, make sure you're all set and good to go. And some kind of final words I want to just kind of share with you all is that.
Sorry, Ben, really quick, one last minute question came in.
You just ruined my buildup.
I know, but I didn't want you to do your final talk before you answered this question, because it would be kind of anticlimactic if this was the last thing.
Mm-hmm.
Menu packets be published.
Are they not up there now? Let me look.
That's what I thought. I thought they were.
They should be because they haven't changed. I'll double check for you. If they're not, we'll make sure they get put up on the website because the menu hasn't really changed. It is not. So I'll make sure we get those on there for you guys. And for those of you that don't know about the menu packet, because you are cooking your campsite, we put out a menu packet that lists out all the ingredients for each meal and what you're going to be getting and how much and all that kind of fun stuff. And it will give you a list about how to prepare it and cook it and everything to make it as simple for the 11-year-old to figure that out and make a good meal for everybody.
Are we going to have troop guides actually in the campsites with us?
For right now, in a limited fashion, yes. So it's more going to be kind of a check-in, kind of from the outskirts. The main kind of communication and making sure everybody's good and making sure you have everything, it's going to be those adult leader meetings that are still going to be happening every day, every morning with that.
And is there an SPL meeting also?
As of right now, Bo, did we?
No, we don't have SPL meetings on the schedule, just because there's, we're not doing any camp-wide activities, and because of the heavily structured nature of the program, we didn't really think there was much need for it. So.
So yeah, I'll make sure those menu packs will get up there. I'll email them tonight, so it shouldn't take too long to get those put on the website with that. All right, now back to my build up to my big
Yes.
important ending message I was gonna give. Well, kind of the one thing I just want to leave off with you all and being here is that I'm really excited about this summer. I really, really am. It's kind of times like this where it gets challenging and it gets really stressful, and there's so many things and everything just keeps changing and changing. And it's definitely important to make sure we all just kind of take a step back and kind of look at it and just enjoy about where we're at and what we're doing, especially once we get up to camp and the environment that we're going to be in. And that's what I'm really looking forward to, is the adventure that's out of all of this. I'm sure for a lot of you that's been doing this for a long time, you get used to camp and how it works, and this is the schedule and this is how it goes, and there's some new things. But this summer we definitely have a great opportunity for a great new adventure that we're all figuring out together, and we're all going into this to ensure that everybody has a fun, safe time. And everything's not figured out, and there's a lot of questions, but some of the best adventures are that way. You're not going to know everything, and that's part of what makes it a discovery and a real fun adventure. So I just want to appreciate you guys being here, definitely for all the work that you guys have been doing with your scouts and keeping them engaged and keeping them excited and getting ready for summer camp. I know I can speak for all our staff that we're really excited to have you guys this summer, and definitely looking forward to seeing you. So again, thank you guys for being here. If you have any more questions or anything, feel free to reach us out. But thank you for being part of this breakout and this long evening for all of us. And we're looking forward to having you this summer. So thank you.